Hey, good morning everyone. This video, I'm kind of doing a comparison between two budget firearms here. This is the Smith & Wesson SD9VE, and this is the Taurus G3. So before we continue, let's go ahead and show clear and safe. No round in the chamber, no magazine inserted. No round in the chamber, no magazine inserted. So with these two, they're both very good options for if you want a Smith & Wesson or if you like Taurus. I've had a problem with neither of them, not a single problem. And I've done a couple of things to them, upgrade wise, that I'll get into in the video. But this is the Smith & Wesson SD9VE, and it's been out for a long time. This gun's approaching almost 10 years old for me personally when I purchased it. It's a gun I'll never get rid of just because of how reliable it's been. And now Smith & Wesson now produces the Smith & Wesson SD9 2.0, which is pretty much, from what I've seen on other reviews and my research on it, it's almost identical except for the slide. They've changed up some things on the slide. But as far as internally, I would assume it's the same, but I haven't done research enough, so don't quote me on that. But if you look on Smith & Wesson's website, the original SD9VE, which is what this is now discontinued, and the 2.0 version of this is what they're releasing. So if you can find one of these, I'm sure that you could probably get a good deal on it, because there's probably still new stock out there of these that needs to get sold, and people are probably just trying to get rid of them because they want to sell the 2.0s. I would recommend it. I can't really say a whole lot bad about this gun, especially if you want like a budget gun. You want a gun from a reputable manufacturer, and Smith & Wesson's definitely that. They come with like their lifetime warranty as long as you own the gun. And from their website, even with this one being discontinued, that warranty still applies to this. So if this is something that you want, I would highly recommend picking one of these up. And I believe the 2.0 is probably, as far as quality wise, it's pretty much the same gun. They've just changed up some of the designs on the slide as far as like how the cuts and everything. It's just more modernized for 2024. And then next to it is the Taurus G3, and it's a great firearm too, and it's got some different characteristics from this one, even though they're both 9mm. This one comes with, depending on which option you get, it'll come with 15 round mags or 17 round mags or a 15 and a 17. I guess it just depends on what option you have, but this one, you can buy factory 15 or 17 round mags for it. Now, the SD9, the Smith & Wesson, comes with 16 round mags. And this is a factory Smith & Wesson SD9 mag, and there it is, punched out 16. And a steel mag. And the Taurus mags they're steel mags too, coated black. This is a 15 rounder. There it is right there. And then here's a 17 rounder. So it's got the extended base plate on it, and this slides up and down. And you could even take it off if you had to. But it doesn't move, like it's on there fairly good. Like you gotta apply pressure to it to make it come off, but it's not something that's just gonna float around on there. But yeah, this one's 17 rounds. And like I said, metal. So let's kind of get into some similarities, and then we'll get into some differences. The Taurus 9mm, Smith & Wesson's 9mm. So if you're looking for 9mm, both great options. And then the SD9 has no external safety. The Taurus does. So you've got a flip on, flip off safety. So in this position, this is off, this is on. So right now, this is a difference, right? This one has a double strike capability, and I'll explain that as we get a little further into it, but I'm gonna show it here. Right now I cannot pull the trigger. It'll move, but it will not break. Right now, flip it off. Okay, now with the Smith & Wesson, and like most semi-auto handguns, right now we showed clear and safe, right? This firearm will not fire, okay? But if I cock it, okay? Now, it's not the same with the Taurus. They give you what's called a double strike option. So with it, right, I'm gonna cock it. It's clear and safe, okay? So right to the break, click. Now, let's say the round didn't go bang, right? If you've trained enough, you know to tap your magazine, rack the round, reacquire your target. Now, maybe, you know, someone who's a novice shooter, or someone who buys this for, they just need a firearm, they might not train like that, so their instinct is to pull the trigger again. So I've just pulled the trigger on this, and without cocking it, it will still click. So that's what this double strike capability is on this, right? I've never had an issue with light primer strikes on this firearm, and I've had 0 failures with this firearm, and it's nice. Now with this trigger, right? So with it being cocked, right, the trigger pull's a lot lighter, and that's what every shot fired will feel like, right? It's got some take up to the wall, break. Now in this double strike configuration, right? So let's say it didn't go bang. This feels more like a revolver trigger. It's got some build up to, it gets tighter and tighter up to the break. There it is. If you've ever shot a revolver, it's not quite the same. I would say it's a little smoother, but a little light. I wouldn't say smoother necessarily, but lighter. But that's what it reminds me of. Now both of these, like I said, 9mm, double stack configuration on both. And I kind of went into the magazines already, but I'll show you what they look like in here. So Smith & Wesson with a 16 round mag. This is an empty magazine. Goes in, lock back, and they'll drop free. And these are actually they're metal, but I don't know if they coat them in something, but it feels super slick. So I don't know if that helps too with how free it drops. Now with the Taurus, I'll show you with both mags. So here's the 15 flush fit and empty magazine. Right, that's in my hands. I'm 6'1", so that's what my grip light is like on this. I've got fairly big hands. Locks back, and here's the drop. It drops pretty free. I would say it probably drops with more force than the Smith & Wesson, but I've never had an issue with those dropping free. And then here's the 17, so 17 rounder, right? And it gives you a little bit more, right, as far as your purchase on the grip. So one more time, locks back, and then drop. And like I said, this one drops free too. And then with the new 2.0 version of the SD9, I don't know if they're releasing it with, like I said, haven't done a whole lot of research on it. I don't know if they're going to do it with cutouts for a red dot. I'm pretty sure they probably will, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. The Taurus, depending on which version you get, you can get versions they call their Toro option. It's like Taurus optic ready option. Don't quote me on that either, but that's a roundabout what it stands for, and it will have a cutout for a red dot. But both of these firearms, if you wanted to get them, they're both excellent options. If you went with either one, you're not gonna regret having purchased either. And I don't. That's why I own both of them. I would never get rid of either of these, especially this one. This one actually was the first handgun I ever purchased, and I will never get rid of it. But I love it. Some things about this, we're going to get into like some of the upgrades, right? This has, I think the biggest complaint with the original, which is what this is, versus the new one, and I believe they corrected it on the new one, is that it had like a two-piece trigger. And a lot of people and a lot of aftermarket companies have come up with, you know, their own triggers for these. This one is aftermarket. It's I believe it's an Apex trigger, and it's just got the little blade safety on there. So like if you don't squeeze that blade on there, right, and you try to pull the trigger back, it's not going to come back, right? But if you have that trigger down, that little dongle, it's going to squeeze. I much prefer this over like a two-piece trigger anyways, and it's a good trigger. And I believe they make flat-faced trigger drop-ins as well for this firearm. And what else have I done to it? I know they make aftermarket sights for it, but when I first purchased this firearm, because it was a budget firearm, I was in the Navy at the time, and I didn't have a whole lot of money. And I wanted a firearm, and then I started looking into upgrades, and the sights that come in are plastic. They will have a plastic, excuse me, the front will be metal, the rear is plastic. Now these are not the originals. I started looking up, you know, sight options, you know, what I was going to do to replace the sights on this gun, and I ended up finding out through, like, you know, forums and looking, I was going to go with a set of True Glow sights, and the same cutout for this gun fit the original Smith & Wesson M&P models. You know, they got the M&P 2.0s now, the full size 9mm. And so I went online, and somebody said that basically what they did was they took an old M&P sight from the original M&P and slid it on here, and it fit just fine. Well, went on eBay, and, you know, at the time, you know, didn't have, like I said, didn't have a whole lot of money. I wanted a metal sight on the rear, and ended up purchasing, I think it was like $10 on eBay, a used set of M&P sights. Now, if we zoom in on it, you see how it says M&P there. This is the sight off of M&P. I got a sight pusher, pushed it in, set my set screw, and that was that. 5-10 minutes it took me to do the whole thing. It wasn't hard. I left the front sight on there because it is metal, and it shoots true, and now it's got a set of metal sights, and it's even got that little ridge right there if you needed to put it on the edge of something and rack it if you had to. So yeah, there's that. So we covered the trigger, and we covered this, and then I'm going to disassemble the firearm and show you something I've done to it internally. So so let me start over again. So this is similar to a Glock. It's got your takedown here, right? So you pull it back ever so slightly, pull your takedown down, and then pull the trigger, and it's down. So I've done nothing other than the trigger here to the frame, and then here it's pretty much bone stock except for this captured recoil spring and guide rod. Now the original comes with a polymer guide rod, and it's all captured on the spring, but the guide rod itself is polymer. So I ended up upgrading that. I don't remember who I purchased this through, but the original one never gave me any problems either, but I kind of didn't like the fact that it was polymer. And I don't know if that's something they changed out on the 2.0, but I think this was like a $30 part, and I bought it, swapped it in there, and I still have the original one in the box for this, and I'm going to keep that in case something ever happens to this one. But the original one never gave me problems, even though it was polymer. I upgraded this. This one's never given me problems, and it's just something I wanted to tinker with, you know, and it's never failed me. I know they make extended takedown levers for these, and they make the rear back plates for here. Never swap that out. Probably will never swap that out. And I think they do a couple other things internally that you can buy as far as kits go. But like I said, I do like the cuts here on the slide. It's got front and rear, and they're sharp, but they're not painful, if that makes sense, right? They are like, you know what you're doing, you know what you're grabbing, right? It's not slick. Like, you have, like, when you grab this, it's not coming free, right? And you can do it from the front. It's not coming free. And so I do like that about that. And I know that they have updated the slide cuts on the new one, so I don't know how grippy they are. I've never even held the new one, the 2.0. So, but yeah, there's that. So let's cover the Taurus now. So pretty much the same takedown, right? You've got your takedown here, right? So you rock it back a little bit, pull it down. And this one, you don't have to pull the trigger, it just comes off. I know people make aftermarket triggers for these. Never thought about changing this out, probably never will, but it's a little dirty from shooting it. But yeah, you could do that. You can, I believe people make extended takedown levers, but I'm not sure. I would assume they would. And then for the slide, okay, there's a company called Lakeline LLC that makes all kinds of stuff for Taurus firearms. And the recoil spring for this one is, it's a metal and polymer mix, okay? So this is an aftermarket one, but the factory one, this cap on here, this is an aftermarket one. The cap on here is plastic. And I'd never heard of them breaking, or, you know, at least under, you know, me doing my research and my due diligence, doing my research on it, I've never heard of that, but it was just something I wanted to play with, and it wasn't a very expensive part from them, so I went ahead and dropped this in. This is all metal, and dual springs, dual guide rod system, kind of like a Glock would have, and the end cap itself is metal. And let's see, I know that like Lakeline LLC makes different barrels for these. See, this thing's pretty dirty, I need to clean it, but I shoot this gun a lot, I really like it. But they make different barrels, probably won't ever change the barrel out. And something that was another cheap option for it was their striker assembly. They sell like an upgraded striker assembly. They have like metal, I forget that, I don't know if you can see that sleeve right there, that metal sleeve. I don't know I forget the name of that piece, but the original one's plastic. You can swap that out, and it's supposed to prevent light primer strikes. I never had a problem with light primer strikes with it. With the original spring, not even with this one, so there's that. And then the sights. So I did upgrade the sights on this. So I went with a True Glow set of sights. So these are tritium sights, you know, they glow in the dark, and pretty simple to do. If you got a sight pusher, push the old ones off and put your new ones on, put your set screw in. And on the front, I think it's kind of nice that they do this. They have a hole there, so you can get your tool in to that screw that holds the sight on. And then I think you know, they recommend to use a little Loctite on this front sight. And yeah, I really enjoy the Taurus. I really do. You know, for what you pay for it, you're getting a lot of gun for the money. And I think it's great for, you know, novice shooters, people new to it, new to firearms. But it's also a pretty good gun for people who've been into it for a long time. And then this one, I always have a hard time getting this one lined back up. There we go. But yeah, there's that. So, yeah, if you have any questions about either of these, hit me up in the comments. But neither of them are a bad purchase. You know, I'm filming this in July of 2024. So if you have questions about these, you know, hit me up. You know, there's deals on both of these all the time. You can buy this one for under $300. I guarantee you could probably find a really gently used one, or maybe even a brand new stock version, you know, in stock version of this that they're just trying to get rid of because the 2.0s are out. Probably under 300, maybe. I haven't done my research on the prices on these. I know the new ones sell on around 300, 350, depending on where you look, the 2.0 version. So yeah, hope this video was informative. I hope it helped, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you for watching.